This movie is about a magical boy and a girl who could see dead people. At the beginning of the story, we are shown a magical boy whose name was Jo. He was doing a magic show with his friend. He used to do his show on the streets like this, but his magic had become very old. That's why the people standing there were not interested in his magic. Then Jo sees a girl standing there among all the people, who looked very strange to him. Jo follows that girl. But as soon as that girl realizes that someone is following her, she stops in front of an old cupboard. Here Jo gets an idea. He thinks that he will get the witch out of a cupboard, and then he will drive her away in front of the people with his magic. And who knows, people will like this magic. Now he goes to that strange girl whose name was Kong. He offers her to work in his show. Kong also needed work, so she does not refuse him. Then Jo is shown the one who was doing his show in a hall. This time a lot of people had come to see his show. He recites his spell on a cupboard there. When that cupboard opens with his spell, he throws a black cloth on it. That black cloth was flying in the air in the form of a ghost. Jo asks that ghost, "What have you come here to do?" He says revenge for his death. He is my killer among these people. But everyone who came to see the show there was scared. Now, that ghost points to a girl. As soon as he points to her, the black cloth ghost catches her. Now, that ghost had disappeared. But that girl wraps herself in that cloth. Jo then brings an axe and chants a spell. And then he hits her. The girl wrapped in that cloth fell down. That cupboard also closes. When Jo removes that cloth, there was no girl there. Then from behind, Jo's companions come and cover the cupboard with a cloth. When Jo removes that cloth, the cupboard was gone. But the girl sitting in the audience comes back safe and sound. People liked Jo's show very much. After the show is over, let's see Kong, who played the role of that ghost. That is, the ghost you saw in black was none other than Kong. And all this was Jo's plan. And the girl sitting among the people was also a member of their team. And Jo had a very good friend. When the work was over, Kong starts going from there. Jo stops him and says, listen to me, we are all going out. Will you come with us?" But Kong refuses him and goes home. When Kong comes home, she talks to her mother. Here we know that she used to live alone. Today was her birthday. She was sitting alone and eating cake. Kong had also made a tent in her house, in which she slept because her house was very big. And she was afraid to sleep alone like this. When Kong wanted to sleep in the tent, she felt that as if someone was opening the zip of her tent. She sees two children in front of her who were dead. After that, we see Kong on the side of the road, where those two children had died. Kong calls the police and says that a man was very drunk. And while driving a drunk car, he caused an accident to these children. Because this was told to her by those two children who were dead. Here we learn that Kong could see dead people. The next day, when Kong was on the set of the show, she was eating alone. Jo's friend was looking at her very carefully. What Kong does not like, and she starts going from there. That's why Jo comes there and stops her. Says that, "Where are you going?" She says her home. He says, No, you can't go today. You make some excuse every day and go. Today you will have to stay with us. Come on, our whole team is going to eat. You also come. After Jo insists a lot, Kong has to agree. And she goes with them. Now when they were eating food, Jo's friend was telling everyone. "Do you know? Last night my grandmother came into my dream. She was scolding me a lot. And she also said that when I was alive, why didn't you come to meet me?" When Kong hears this, she laughs a lot. She was very drunk and laughing loudly. There she was also doing strange things. She sits next to Jo and insults him a lot. She says, "I told you not to come here. Why did you bring me here?" She grabs Jo's shirt and tears it. Then she apologizes to everyone and leaves from there. All the people in her team were very surprised at her behavior. The next day, it is shown that Jo's friend was going somewhere. When he was coming back from the airport, he gets a call from Kong, who was apologizing to her for the misbehavior of the night. During the conversation, Kong hears the sound of screams from the painting in his house. When she looks that way, a soul was coming out of it and scares her. Poor Kong, scared, sits on one side of her house. After a while, the door of her house is rung. When she goes and sees, her boss Mei-jo was there. Because he heard the sound of her scream on the phone. And that's why he came to know about her well-being. There was nothing to feed him in Kang's house. Except for a 2-day-old cake. She decorates it according to her and presents it to him. When he starts going from here, he sees a child in front of him, which was hidden in the corner. When he asks Kong about it, she tells him that this child lives in our neighborhood. And maybe he is playing hide and seek. Mei-jo says, "Come, let's play with him." But when he sees him there again, that child was missing. Then again in the corner, he sees the same child. He hides there with Kong. When he scares the child, he runs away very fast. Mei-jo had also left. After his departure, Kong calls her friend. She tells her that my boss had come to my house. There Mei-jo was sleeping in his house at night. Then someone passes through his bed, with which his eyes open. When he turns on the light and sees, there was the same child in his house. What he saw in Kang's house. When he sees himself in the mirror, that child was standing behind him. Seeing this, he gets very scared and falls. He comes out of the house and calls Kong. Tells her that the child living in your neighbor is at my house. Kong comes to Mei-jo with alcohol. And says, "Drink a little first. Then you will understand what I want to say to you." She says in his ear, "Listen, I see dead people. I can see dead people. And that child may want to say something to us." Now they both go inside the house again. That child again puts his hand on Mei-jo's shoulder. When Kong puts her hand on that child's hand, then she sees a vision, a thought. When they go to the same place of vision, where a woman had an accident. That woman's child was dead. But she was still alive. Mei-jo quickly calls the ambulance. In the morning, the ambulance takes the child and his mother. As soon as the ambulance leaves, the child thanks Kong and Mei-jo that they saved his mother's life, and then he disappears. After this, Kong takes Mei-jo to the river bank and tells her, "A few years ago I was also dead. I mean, my breath stopped for a while. When I was going by school bus, I had an accident. I was dead for a while. Somehow I was saved. But my best friend died. After that, I started seeing ghosts of my friends and other dead people. After which everyone started staying away from me. Even my mother and sister left me alone." After telling all this, Kong goes to the river bank and screams and says, "My friend, how long will you be able to keep me alone? I have a lot of friends online. How will you keep them away from me?" Actually, the ghost of Kang's friend was also visible to those people who used to live with him. And because of this fear, no one wanted to live with Kong. Here Mei-jo also says, "Cheap witch, you can't do anything to Kong without me. Because both go away from here." The next day, Kong and Mei-jo go to a bar, where Kong drinks a lot again. Mei-jo tells her to drop her at her house. But she refuses to go to her house. That's why Mei-jo took her to his house. When they were sleeping at night, then water was falling on Mei-jo's face, with which his eyes open. When he looks up, then from the roof, the ghost of Kang's friend was there, who was scaring Mei-jo. Kong puts her hand on Mei-jo's eyes. Says, "Don't pay attention to this side. Don't look at her and she will go." But Mei-jo was very scared. That's why Kong makes a tent for him. These two now slept in the same tent. When it is morning, Mei-jo's friend comes here, who had gone somewhere for work, to whom Mei-jo had left the airport. But now she had come back. She was very angry to see all this. She calls Kong very bad. She says to her, "I know. You don't have any friends, not even your family. They all left you. And if I were in your place, I would have died long ago." Mei-jo tells her to be quiet after listening to her. Kong was feeling very bad about Mei-jo's friend's words. She leaves crying. The next morning, when Meijo's team was preparing for their next show, Kong does not come there, and Meijo was very sad. When Kong was cleaning her house, her friends come to meet her, who were made online. They have also brought food for her. Kong is very happy to see them. Now they eat food and talk a lot. Then Meijo's call comes, who was telling her that he is missing her a lot. He wants to meet her. Now at night, Kong gets ready and goes to meet Meijo. So on the way, she started watching that magic show. Then she sees her friend's soul in the crowd. When she was trying to escape from her, she falls on the stage, where there were a lot of hands behind her. They were holding her, but Meijo comes there. He makes that scary moment a part of the show, which people were liking a lot when they were going. So Kong says to him, "Tell me the truth. Are you worried because of me? Or is your life getting ruined because of me?" Meijo says, "Why are you saying this? In fact, I am nothing without you. I want to spend my life with you." After this, Kong takes him home. In the morning, when Meijo was leaving her house, while leaving, Kang's friend's soul sees him. On the way, Meijo's car has an accident with the crane, and he was saved. The surprising thing was that there was no driver inside the crane. When Meijo comes out, a very big signboard had fallen on him. When Kong was cleaning her house, she gets a locket, which was her friend's. She takes that locket and goes to the hall, where Meijo was performing. He was showing his magic. That's why she sits in the middle of the magic seeing people. When the closet opens, a black-clothed ghost comes out of it. When Meijo asks her about her killer, so she points somewhere else first. But later, she points to Kong. She takes him to her closet. Everyone is very scared, because this magic was not a part of their show. Everyone was surprised. When Meijo opens the closet, Kong was trapped in a water aquarium in it. He was trying to get her out, when he tries to break the aquarium with an axe. So he flies in the air and falls down. And he was unconscious. When Kong was in the aquarium, she takes out the locket and starts giving it to her friend. The story goes from here. On the day when Kang's school bus had an accident. Actually, Kong and her friend were very good friends. Kang's friend had this locket, which was expensive, and her grandmother's last emblem. But Kong also liked this locket a lot. For a while, she asks her friend to wear it. As soon as she wears that locket, then the bus had an accident. All the children fell into the river. When the rescue team takes them out, they were worried whose treatment should be done first, because at this time, they could only save a person's life. When they see a necklace on Kang's neck, they understand that she is from a rich family. And that's why they save her life first. But Kang's friend was dead. Then when Kong is taken to the hospital, the doctors removed the locket and gave it to Kang's mother. She forgot to keep it. And now because of this locket, Kang's friend was behind her. Her soul was wandering. We see the present scene again, where Kong puts on her friend's locket. As soon as she puts on the locket, she came out of the aquarium. But Meijo was still unconscious. Both of them are taken to the hospital. When she comes to her senses and sees Meijo in this condition, she decides to go away from him. But after coming to his senses, when Meijo comes to know about this, he calls her and stops her and starts crying. But Kong doesn't stop. Now when Kong was leaving this city, she was sitting on the plane. Then an air hostess comes to her. When the air hostess talks to her, then her friend's soul was there. Then the plane starts moving. There Meijo, who was sitting at the airport and was waiting for Kong. He hears this announcement that our plane is coming back. Something has gone wrong in it. And they were talking about the same plane on which Kong was going. When Meijo hears this, he is very happy. Now when he sees Kong, he talks to her. He tells her that I love you a lot. I want to be with you all my life. You can't leave me like this. But Kong tells her to look up, where her friend's soul was standing. She says that you still love me. Because think about it. She is going to be with me all her life. Mae-jo says yes, I still love you. They came close to each other. And they were very happy. The film ends with this happy ending. Tainia recaps family. That brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you found the movie enjoyable. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on future content. I love hearing from you, so drop a comment below with your thoughts on the recap movie or any suggestions for future videos. Your feedback truly means the world to me.